So to be thorough, since Paul is quoting that, he's using it in the proper context. So back in Romans 9, what is Paul asking to do? Romans 9:15 is where that's found. This is not on your sheet. So we're going to kind of small detour. It is? Yeah, at the top it is, but not right now it's not. So Romans 9:15 is where Paul says that quote. And if you just kind of mark that on your sheet, Paul is wanting to do whatever he can so that Jews can be saved. He then proceeds to state that the chosen are not chosen because of who their parents are, but because God labeled them that way. His best example was that the chosen race was through Abraham and Isaac. Was Isaac Abraham's only son? No, he wasn't. Abraham had other sons. But the chosen race was through Abraham and Isaac. Did that mean that the other sons and their descendants couldn't be part of the chosen race? No. Jesus went through that with the Pharisees when he was here. That you don't have to be of the bloodline of Abraham to be my children. And the same thing here. That just because they weren't direct descendants of Abraham and Isaac didn't mean that they couldn't become part of the chosen race. So it isn't a predestined to be lost because you're not that by blood. What about the children of Israel, those wilderness wanderers, the descendants from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? They were special. They were chosen. Weren't they? Okay, we read this text last night. Let's read it again in Deuteronomy 7, verses 6, 7, and 8. Deuteronomy 7, verses 6, 7, and 8 on page 100. It says here, "For you are a holy people." We read that in Ephesians 1:4 too, didn't we? "For you are a holy people to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be the people for himself, this special treasure above all the peoples on the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love on you, nor choose you because you were more in number than other people, for you were the least of all people, but because the Lord loves you, and because he would keep the oath that he swore to your fathers." So the idea pops up again, that our being chosen isn't because we did anything to deserve that, is it? It's because why? What did it say in the verse? Verse 8? Why was it? Because he kept his oath before that. Because he loves us. Love is kind of an underlying thing all through this. So Israel is a chosen group, set aside by God. How did that work out for God long term? If God chose them to be a chosen people, and they were holy, then how do we get to what we read in Hosea 11 verse 7? Hosea, page 478. Hosea 11 and verse 7. It's one of these little tiny books back here. Hosea, Joel, Amos. If you run into Obadiah, you've gone too far. Hosea 11 and verse 7. This is the opposite of what we had earlier. So now we have an 11:7. So now we're open 24 hours. Hosea 11:7. There we read, "My people are bent on backsliding from me. Though they call to the Most High, none at all exalt me." How did they get to that point? Was it because they were predestined to get there? Or was it because of a choice that they made? Choices. Ouch. "You are my people. You are special and set apart." That's what God said. He didn't say, he wasn't just being a mean God and saying, "No, you are my people, a chosen people, not, I'm going to give you to Satan and let him be in charge of you and let him rule you." It's not what he says. That's not what he does to us. Look at the text in Joshua. Joshua 24. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua. basically the last chapter in Joshua. Chapter 24 and verses 14 and 15. That is on page 130. There we read, this is Joshua's farewell message to the children of Israel. Now therefore, fear the Lord, serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the river and in Egypt. Serve the Lord. And if it seems evil for you to serve the Lord, that sounds like an oxymoron, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether it be the gods of your fathers served on the other side of the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But for me and my house, we will serve who? The Lord. Just like the message that Moses delivered as his farewell message. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Choose life, please. In both cases, there's a choice to be made. You can't make choices if you're predestined to do something, because that means the choice has already been made for you. If there is not a choice to be made, then Revelation 2:4 would be really hard to understand. What does it say in Revelation 2:4? Let's go find out. It's way back there. Revelation 2:4, page 646. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 4. This is a message to a church. Nevertheless, I have this against you, that you have left your first love. Have you ever had a boyfriend or girlfriend and you guys split up? You left your first love, or second or third, whichever it may be, but you broke up with them. Was it painful? Or not? Okay. Maybe that's why you broke up. It wasn't painful. But this was a love relationship, a genuine love relationship that was broken. And God is saying to them, you have left your first love. I know that you love me. Why don't you love me any longer? That's what he's saying in this verse. Did you know that Jesus made a choice while he was here on earth? That's a good one. Listen to this text. He went a little further. This is the night before Jesus was crucified, and he's in the garden. He went a little further and fell down on his face, praying, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me. Yet, I want your will and not mine. His choice to follow his will or his Father's will. What would have happened if he would have said, if possible, let this cup be taken away from me, and if not, I quit? What would our case be right now? Be pretty hopeless, wouldn't it? Jesus chose to go through with the choice that his Father and him had made earlier, to be crucified for us. The text that everybody knows, John 3:16, states the gift from God. Repeat it with me. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not what? Perish, but have everlasting life. There's that choice again. If we believe, if we choose him. Why did Jesus come to this earth to die? For us. It was a choice out of love. Listen to what it says in 1 John 3:16. Same idea here. Rather than just plain old John, this is 1 John, way in the back. 1 John 3:16, page 525. Nope, 561. 3:16. But in 1 John, rather than just the book of John. 1 John 3:16 says this. 6:43, yes. By this we know love, because he laid down his life for us.